Welcome to the breakdown for the weeks of August 9th and 16th. This week we have a lot to get to, so let's get right into the weekly. An update on the ongoing assault case against Carlos Zapata. On Monday, August 9th, Mr. Zapata appeared with his lawyer in court and off-the-record discussions were had with all representatives. On Friday, August 20th, a trial readiness conference was conducted and it was determined that a trial will go forward. On the Red, White, and Blueprint Facebook page, they put out yet another call to action for protesters to stand by Carlos. Jury selection begins on Tuesday, August 24th, with an actual trial following shortly thereafter. On Sunday, August 8th, District 5 Supervisor Les Baugh announced he will not be running for re-election at the end of his current term in June of 2022, as he has accepted a position as a full-time senior pastor at Anderson Community Church. Baugh was elected to the Board of Supervisors in 2006 and won re-election at the end of each four-year term. Baugh took the opportunity to formally pledge his support for Baron Browning to take his place as the next District 5 Supervisor, saying he has the greatest respect for Browning. Currently, Browning has a seat on the Anderson City Council with Baugh's wife, the mayor of Anderson, Susie Baugh. Recall Shasta has not yet announced on the record who they are supporting to take the District 5 seat, but Red, White, and Blueprint and Recall Shasta supporter Colt Roberts, a Cottonwood constitutionalist, has made comments online stating that he plans to run. On the Red, White, and Blueprint podcast, Patrick offers his thoughts on Baron Browning.
I said, at the beginning I had no thoughts really about it until I looked at Baron's web page. And then I look at the people that is on his committee. And it's all the bad actors that I've seen before.
Just days before we reach the one-year anniversary of the August Board of Supervisors meeting, which gave Carlos Zapata nationwide notoriety in conservative media, Zapata went viral again. This time, however, it was spreading amongst people who were not impressed by the terroristic threats against both our local government and fellow American citizens.
Because this is a warning for what's coming. It's not going to be peaceful much longer. It's not going to be rah-rah. It's not going to be speeches. It's not going to be gathered outside saying a Pledge of Allegiance. It's not going to be waving flags. It's going to be real. When you've seen the things that I've seen, I went to war for this country. I've seen the ugliest, dirtiest part of humanity. I've been in combat, and I never want to go back again. But I'm telling you what, I will to save this country. If it has to be against our own citizens, it will happen. And there's a million people like me, and you won't stop us.
On Friday, August 14th, attorney and Marine Ron Filipowski discovered and shared the August 2020 video on Twitter to his 137,000 followers. Filipowski, a former Republican commissioner and vice chair for the 12th Circuit Judicial Nomination Commission, is best known for resigning his position in the state of Florida in protest to call attention to the way Governor Ron DeSantis handled public information to truthful data, and the raiding of a data analyst's home. Filipowski's tweet currently has 1.7 million views and almost 5,000 retweets. Some of the retweets are from attorneys, veterans, activists, and political media organizations. They've even grabbed the attention of celebrities from the music world and Hollywood. While scrolling through thousands of retweets, we observe frequent tags to the FBI, as well as Americans not living in Shasta County shocked that a person could make terroristic threats and not be held accountable. As a result, the renewed attention to his original speech and harsh criticism, Carlos Zapata appears to have deleted his Twitter account. He is still active on Instagram. Dignity Health announced they've reached a new agreement with Anthem in California and Nevada that will allow Anthem-insured patients to maintain in-network access to Dignity Health providers. In a press release posted to their website, they stated, "In California, we did experience a brief out-of-network period, but the new agreement is retroactive to July 15th, the date the previous contract expired, and any care received since July 15th will be considered in-network. In anticipation of reaching an agreement, we held Anthem's claims, so patients should not experience any impact on their bills." On Monday, August 16th, the Reading Fire Department made a statement that they were in no way affiliated with a privately owned fire truck that has been seen with political signage supporting Recall Shasta. They weren't the only ones to publicly deny support for the recall. CAL FIRE and the Reading Professional Firefighters Association also made statements to the same effect. The fire truck in question has been seen at multiple events. Here at the Riverfront Amphitheater for an event supporting Republican candidate for governor Kevin Kiley, and here parked off Highway 44. On August 13th, Christian Gardner announced that his show Common Ground was canceled abruptly by KCNR. Common Ground was a left-leaning look at politics in the North State and was notable because it was the only non-conservative show on the network. This has led to speculation that the show was canceled due to pressure regarding Gardner's political views. However, According to Christian, this is not what happened. He released a public statement about what led to the cancellation. According to Christian, the deciding factor was related to a statement he made in the intro of the August 7th Common Ground program, where he suggested holding a roundtable debate with militia supporters and stated that Carl Bott, the station's owner, had agreed to act as moderator for the debate. According to Gardner, Bott did not want his name associated with that part of the Common Ground show, and apparently felt misrepresented. It is also notable that on the August 7th show, a retired public defender, Jeff Gorder, spoke about the legality of militias.
The Cottonwood militia, for example, they're totally, it's a part of the California state militia, so-called California state militia, which is an unrecognized militia in California, subject to no political authority, no civil authority whatsoever, whereas every constitution, every state constitution requires all military in the state, which a militia is, a legally recognized militia is a military force, essentially, has to be subject to civilian control.
Considering the recall movement has deep connections to the Cottonwood militia, one could surmise that this would cause quite a stir in their movement. On Monday, August 9th, a protest was held by healthcare workers near Dignity Health Mercy Medical Center to speak out against the requirements set by the California Department of Public Health to be vaccinated against COVID-19 by the end of September. Originally, Governor Newsom announced last month that healthcare workers would have the choice of either being fully vaccinated or getting a COVID test each week. But now, this new order only provides exemptions for religious or medical reasons. Among those who promoted the protest was Rebecca Zapata, a nurse who works at the hospital, as well as Red, White, and Blueprint co-founder Carlos Zapata's wife. I sought to mention it because, in response to a Facebook post her husband made in 2018, Rebecca made a pro-vaccine statement. The medical profession can be trusted to save your life when you really need it. But we don't know what we're talking about when it comes to vaccines? Ridiculous. Since that post in 2018, both her and her husband seem to have completely changed their perspective. Between 200 and 300 people appeared, holding signs and chanting slogans about their beliefs that their rights were being violated. Recall proponents, including Recall Shasta leader Alyssa McEwen, Carlos Zapata, and Melissa Magana, were in attendance, encouraging the crowd and using the event to gather signatures for a recall petition. One recall signature gatherer was telling protest attendees they should sign the petition because the 3 supervisors for recall voted on vaccine mandates for healthcare workers. As a reminder, our local Board of Supervisors has no control over the California Department of Public Health. The vaccine mandate is being driven by the recent uptick in COVID cases across the state. In Shasta County, we're being hit particularly hard. Since May of 2021, we have had 18 deaths related to COVID, 17 of which were unvaccinated. Also, a member of the community has recently been informed by Dignity Health that they are now canceling elective surgeries again due to the recent surge in COVID cases. It bears mentioning that required vaccinations for healthcare workers is nothing new. Beginning in clinical practice and continuing throughout their careers, all healthcare workers must maintain vaccine coverage from diseases before they're permitted to care for patients. At Mercy Medical Center, the only vaccine commonly argued against pre-COVID-19 was the influenza vaccine, and the option for those who refused it was to wear a mask during flu season. With COVID requirements, all healthcare workers had to wear a mask while working, regardless. While many protesters claim that their personal research proves the COVID-19 vaccine is either ineffective or dangerous, it is interesting to note that roughly 95% of the doctors at Mercy have been vaccinated against COVID-19, but under 50% of all other hospital workers have been vaccinated. It could be argued that the additional education and years of experience comes to the same conclusion as the medical experts for a good reason. It is also important to note that Pfizer's COVID vaccine has achieved full FDA approval as of Monday, August 23rd. The hospital's administration released a statement saying, "Dignity Health strongly encourages all of our employees and those in the community to get vaccinated for COVID-19. According to the FDA and the CDC, the vaccines are safe, effective, and the best way to protect ourselves, our patients, and our community against COVID-19 and variants of concern, including the highly infectious Delta variant. We support the state's order requiring all healthcare workers to be vaccinated by September 30th and will comply fully." And now, the breakdown. The August 17th Board of Supervisors meeting was always going to be contentious. The recent vaccine mandates from the state for healthcare workers have many locals whom are vaccine hesitant on edge, as they wish to assert what they have branded their medical freedom. Recall Shasta has aligned with this group as their next political play in order to receive more signatures for the recall. On the evening of August 16th, a notice was placed on the Shasta County Board of Supervisors website stating, "Pursuant to Rule 5 of Administrative Policy, the Chair has canceled the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors scheduled for August 17th, 2021. Many locals first received word from District 5 Supervisor Les Baugh's Facebook post. In the post, since Les says only Patrick and himself would be able to attend, the meeting would be without quorum, which means they would be unable to vote on any agendized items. All agenda items would be considered for the next regularly scheduled meeting on August 31st. Supervisor Mary Rickert released a statement that evening as well, stating she would not be attending because she learned she may have been exposed to COVID and would be getting tested the following day. In an article in the Record Searchlight, Leonard Modi had made a statement that the smoky air caused issues for him, and Joe Commenti stated that he had an inner ear infection causing pain and vertigo. Roughly 2 hours after Les Baugh's post, a call to action from the Red, White, and Blueprints Facebook page was posted, stating that Patrick Jones plans to lead the march and open the chambers. If this seems familiar, it's because this isn't the first time Patrick Jones has done something like this. On January 5th, when the board was to be closed for virtual meetings, both Patrick Jones and Les Baugh opened the chambers to the public. This time is different, though. The meeting was fully canceled. As mentioned earlier, without 3 or more members, which is considered a quorum, no agendized items can be voted on. Nonetheless, Patrick Jones, the Red, White, and Blueprint, as well as Recall Shasta, decided to follow through on their march the following day. Recall Shasta supporters marched from the downtown Reading promenade to the courthouse. Supporters held signs that spoke out against vaccines as well as mask mandates. I found the mask signs to be important to mention because on August 17th, the Air Quality Index, or AQI, was over 300 in much of downtown Reading. This means it is extremely unhealthy for anyone to spend any amount of time in. It is highly recommended in weather like this that you either stay inside or wear a properly fitted N95 mask to properly filter the smoke particulates. Members of the community were marching with their children, some in strollers, without proper protection. In fact, just one day prior, on the morning of Monday, August 16th, recall proponent Kathy Stainbrook was leading a protest at the promenade where one child was holding a sign that said, "Let the children breathe." The AQI was nearly 300 that day as well. Patrick led the group up the steps of the 1450 Court Street building, where there were unauthorized signature tables. Inside the chambers, each person who attended was allowed to speak for public comment. Since this was not an official meeting, it was not recorded by the county. Rather, it was recorded by the Red, White, and Blueprint documentary film crew, as well as live-streamed by them. It could be argued that this was simply a publicity stunt for the Red, White, and Blueprint, which is a for-profit LLC. This could be an issue for Patrick Jones, as this isn't the first time he's been alleged to have violated Title V, particularly 2635702, which states, "An employee should not use his public office for his own private gain, for the endorsement of any product, service, or enterprise, or for the private gain of friends, relatives, or persons for whom the employee is affiliated." Previously, Patrick allowed a filming crew inside a government building after hours to film him removing plexiglass from the Board of Supervisors' chambers. For nearly 2 hours, community members came up and spoke their minds. Shannon Eckelberger shared her concerns for what she called COVID camps that she said the CDC had recently announced.
I don't know if you in the community or the nurses have heard it. It's COVID camp. And it says that they have the right, I am not kidding you, you go right on to CDC's website and you look up shielding. They are going to shield the people who are most at risk. It says people probably, it doesn't define at risk. Elderly people, anyone with disabilities, they can be removed from their families. They can be taken out for up to 6 months or longer if they deem necessary. This is not a joke.
She seems to be referring to the recently announced community isolation centers, which would give people experiencing COVID symptoms a safe place to isolate for the intent of conserving healthcare facility resources. Melissa Magana also spoke, stating that she had a child with spina bifida that could potentially need surgery in the future.
She goes to Shriners in Sacramento, and she might have to have surgery one day. She has a VP shunt in her head that drains her spinal fluid into her omentum. And so one day that might malfunction and I will have to go to the hospital. She will have to get it replaced. She has scar tissue and tethered spine. So that means that when she grows, she has scar tissue that might have to be removed. Okay, this means I must be at a hospital. So I called and asked if they would honor medical exemptions, and they said no.
We have reached out to Shriners and were told that they would allow surgery for an unvaccinated individual, but that they would need to be tested for COVID and be negative for 72 hours prior to surgery. Carlos Zapata also spoke. This was the anniversary of his viral speech. Donning the same t-shirt he wore 1 year ago, Carlos proceeded to actively berate a news cafe founder, Donnie Chamberlain, for her coverage of him throughout this last year.
And when you have people like Donnie Chamberlain, who is the only person in this room right now wearing a mask covering her coward face, telling lies about me, about my family, about my friends. You are a coward, Donnie Chamberlain. It's people like you that are making this life difficult for our children, for people that actually want to live in this county and make it better. I'm sorry you're miserable. I'm sorry you went through a humiliating divorce. I'm sorry your husband cheated on you publicly, and that's why you're so miserable and mad at the world. I'm sorry that happened to you.
So, what comes next? Well, Shasta Ford released a press release the same day stating their intent to censure Jones for his behavior. This would be Patrick Jones' second censure in the 8 months that he's been in office. And that's the breakdown for the weeks of August 9th and 16th.